Chris Cuomo just did a great interview with Ross Coulthart where Ross reveals some juicy nuggets. And I hope Chris doesn't mind me sharing a few clips from it because they are pretty juicy. So let's talk about it. Get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like, please subscribe, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Well, first of all, Ross has some encouraging words that there are actually people in the aerospace industry that are working on UFOs that want to release this information. So let's hear what he has to say in this very quick clip.
What don't they want people to know?
I think it's a variety of reasons. I suspect, I don't know for sure, but the number of sources who are telling me that the United States is in possession of non-human technology is enormous. I've literally just this morning put the phone down from a call I had confidentially with a source working in a private aerospace company who was talking to me about the material that they work on. They're anxious that the world know about this technology, and they're bemused as to why it's been kept secret. They're puzzled.
Me too, Ross. Me too. And he goes on to explain why, it might have been withheld. But the important thing is it was withheld. And of course, he's talking about Cold War secrecy, and that's how it all got started. And that may well be the case. However, I do think that this has probably been going on since before the Cold War. And David Grush has also hinted at this as well. But either way, it looks like there are people in the aerospace industry, or at least one, and if there's one, there's probably more that actually want to get this information out and don't understand why it's being kept secret. So will one of those become a whistleblower if the Schumer Rounds amendment doesn't pass? What do you think, guys? Is that what we're looking at? But Ross had a bunch of other juicy stuff to say, including the scariest thing about UFOs from what he learned from David Grush.
What is the scariest suggestion you've ever been given by a source?
Well, David reinforced something I'd been told previously. David Grush told me in the interview that there have been occasions when the phenomenon has hurt humans and indeed killed humans. And it's interesting because if you go into the military archives of the United States, there are many incidents where US military, particularly US pilots, have either disappeared or crashed in strange circumstances. One of the incidents I was talking to somebody about yesterday was in Puerto Rico, where 2 US fighter jets allegedly disappeared, engaging what report witnesses said was a gigantic football field-sized craft hovering in the sky. Now, the US at the time obviously denied that this engagement occurred, but the source that I'm speaking to says he knew that 2 pilots disappeared from the flight line and were officially declared missing. Now, there are these incidents all the way through US military history. And indeed in my country, there's a case, a very famous case in 1978. I'm sure people will correct me if I'm wrong. A young pilot called Frederick Valentich was flying over Bass Strait between the island of Tasmania and the mainland of Australia. And he reported to the air traffic control at Moorabbin in Melbourne that he was being hovered over by a gigantic craft. And in the course of the conversation, all of a sudden a metallic noise was heard. The audio of that exchange is publicly available, and it's quite frightening. Something, he claimed, was hovering above his aircraft, and then he and his aircraft disappeared and were never seen again. These are incidents all over the world.
They are, and they're going on in Russia, in China, Iran, places that are not allies with us, and they are having and have been having these experiences for a long time. And of course, it's a global phenomenon. If you intercept a UFO with a military jet, you are likely to have it retaliate. A lot of these UFOs have been fired on and are indeed retaliating. Defensively. Of course, they don't need to actually kill people or, abduct people to defend themselves. There have been plenty of cases where they have simply interfered with the electronics of the jet to prevent them from retaliating, like in the famous case in Iran. So they don't actually need to kill people. So why do they sometimes? Are they trying to send a point? That would be the implication, I would think. So either way, the military fires on UFOs all the time, and UFOs fire back. Sometimes they harm humans without provocation. These are not being they're not being fired upon. The human mutilations. There's not a lot of those. There's a very few human mutilations, and they don't seem to display the same sorts of high technology or high levels of sophistication as the cattle mutilations do. But they do have some of the same anomalous features. It's very alarming. And of course, there's the missing 411 phenomenon that does seem to have a UFO connection. Check out David Paulides' movie, The Missing 411, The UFO Connection. And so are those mutilations? Are those, what is going on with the missing 411 phenomenon? So there are definitely examples where UFOs have harmed humans. There are other examples, many examples of UFOs and their occupants healing humans. So I don't want to, beat the fear drum, right? I don't want to, beat the threat narrative. Because I don't think that's entirely justified. I think the phenomenon is not monolithic, that there are good parts and bad parts to it, and good actors and bad actors all around. Different races can be both good and bad, just like with humans. So, it's not monolithic. There are many facets to it, and many actors and agendas and factions. So, I don't want people to be fearful of the UFO phenomenon, but certainly be aware that there are negative aspects to it. Don't shoot at them, would be a good advice. But also, if you're engaging in CE5 and stuff, go into it with very high vibes and with a lot of love, because we do seem to co-create a lot of these experiences. Not all of them. I don't think the people in Peru that are being attacked right now are co-creating that experience. If indeed it is an ET group that is responsible, and I'm not convinced that it is. But certainly people have had negative experiences that they did not co-create. But we do seem to attract what we put out in some part with the phenomenon. And it's not just me saying that. That's across the board, many experiencers and practitioners of CE5 will tell you that we do co-create a lot of these events. So just something to think about. But getting back to the military shootdowns, they shoot at us, we shoot at them. But sometimes we don't shoot at them, we escort them. We're not, shooting at the UFOs, we're working with them. And there are many cases of military and government people being seen working with the beings, often during abductions. So, we are shooting at some non-humans, working with others. Somehow we seem to have become involved in some sort of cosmic conflict that we may not want to be in. Has the control group picked the right side in that battle? Are we shooting at the bad guys and working with the good guys? Based on the behavior that I've seen from the UFO control group, I'm not persuaded that we are indeed, we have picked the right side. And that is one huge reason why the UFO control group needs oversight, if not just being completely dismantled and refashioned into, a better organization. Not only are we shooting at UFOs, but we've got our own UFOs, or at least they're landing at Air Force bases like Eglin Air Force Base. Let's listen to what Ross has to say.
Conversation with a former US Special Forces soldier who was convalescing in a hospital on Eglin Air Force Base in Florida. Middle of the night, he got up to go to the bathroom and then have a cigarette. And of course, he wasn't allowed to smoke inside the ward. And he walked outside and looked across around about 2 o'clock in the morning at a clearing in the Air Force Base. And to his amazement, there was a craft hovering. Now, I don't think this guy's lying to me. And the account that he gave, when I looked at a Google Maps description of the location, It's precise to a T. What he describes is seeing some kind of vehicle that was hovering over a clearing that was being worked on by US military personnel and civilian personnel in suits. It was clearly high security. He was gobsmacked that he was allowed to see it. I don't think they were aware that he was there. And as he watched, the object quite literally almost dematerialized. It moved so fast. And all he saw was a brief flutter above the trees as whatever it was took off into infinity. 20 minutes later, as he was smoking, no doubt, another cigarette, he watched it return. Now, I have dozens of accounts like that from US military personnel who've seen things they probably shouldn't. I've also spoken to people who purport to be direct first-hand witnesses to what commonly is euphemistically referred to as the legacy crash retrieval reverse engineering program. People who claim that they've been involved in retrievals of non-human technology. People who claim that they are working with private aerospace companies. I'll name one of them for you, Lockheed Martin, and that those aerospace companies are actively involved in attempting to reverse engineer non-human technology.
They absolutely are. So is the UFO that was seen at Eglin Air Force Base, is that a reverse engineered vessel? Were there beings inside that vessel? Are we working with the beings at Eglin Air Force Base? Is that maybe a gifted UFO? Did they help us build that? What are the various possible theories about how this functioning UFO got to be at Eglin Air Force Base and were apparently U.S. crew people, Air Force officials and personnel were flying this thing or working with it in some fashion. So let me know what you think, guys, about this crazy case at Eglin Air Force Base. Are there live beings at Eglin Air Force Base that we are working with? And we have previously learned just a week or two ago that there was a UFO crash retrieval operation out of Eglin Air Force Base. So I guess it should be no surprise that they have UFOs there. So not only do they bring UFOs there that they've retrieved, but somehow they are able to either get them to function, or they are already functioning, or they are working with beings that are flying them. All possibilities, so let me know what you think about that in the comments below. And let me know what you think about Ross's other comments. Very, very juicy interview. I highly recommend you checking out the whole thing, and I will link to it below. Again, hopefully Chris doesn't mind me sharing a few clips from this, and I don't get copyright claimed on this video, so we'll see, fingers crossed. But I did want to bring you some of Ross's comments, if you hadn't already seen them, because indeed, I think they're incredibly juicy. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure would appreciate it. Smash the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. Love to see you guys there. If you wanted to support Cosmic Road in an even bigger way, you can consider buying a t-shirt or a coffee mug. See the merch store below. Or by becoming a channel member. Channel members are rock stars, and I really appreciate you guys' support. I'm also doing a new thing where I am making certain videos available to see early if you're a channel member. I don't make very many exclusive videos for my channel members, unfortunately, because I can't decide what I don't want to share with everybody else. But this is a good way for me to give something back to the channel members, allowing them to see these videos hours or even earlier than that, before anybody else gets to see them. So hopefully that'll be an inducement for channel members to join Cosmic Road and to support this channel in an even bigger way. So okay, there's that. There's plenty of other videos to check out on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.